Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing great. So today's video, I am going to be talking about my experience during the first trimester of my pregnancy. I don't want to do a long intro, so I'm just going to jump into it and just talk about how my personal experience was during this first trimester. If you saw my video where I basically told you guys that I'm having a baby, you noticed that I only found out that I was pregnant at 10 weeks, which means it was quite late during the pregnancy, meaning that the first trimester usually finishes around like 12, 13 weeks. And I found out when I was 10, so literally my entire first trimester I was like, what? But still, I had all the symptoms and I did think I was sick, so you can probably tell. I think I had a pretty normal first trimester compared to other women. I felt extremely tired, absolutely exhausted, to the point that I didn't understand what I was doing wrong, because I was eating healthy, I was sleeping a lot of hours, I was working out, but I always felt extremely tired and sometimes even weak, physically weak. These were like obviously the symptoms, so I felt like extremely tiredness, weakness. I wanted to sleep all the time. I'm not kidding when I tell you that there were days I slept 12 hours, would go to work, come back, have a nap, and I would still be tired. And some days I wouldn't even have dinner because I would just get home and just sleep straight away and wake up the next day and still be tired. Like, I was so sleepy and tired, and it was a big struggle for me. And I remember being at work feeling weak, and I work in a warehouse in a clothing shop, so it's like I had to carry heavy stuff that obviously if I had known that I was pregnant I wouldn't be doing it, and the company wouldn't let me do it, but they didn't know, I didn't know, so whatever. But I remember feeling weak and not being able to do things normally like I normally do, and I didn't understand why. Now I do, obviously, but at the time I didn't know. I was struggling to carry the heavy things. I was, super strong about it and I could do all of the things, but then I was struggling doing them. I struggled, focusing as well because I was tired, and suddenly I was always, almost every single day I had nausea. Like, I felt really sick most of the days, which, it is a symptom of pregnancy, it's normal. But when I tell you that I was nauseous, and I even remember Christmas time, Christmas day was, I'm not gonna lie, who eats healthy during Christmas? If you do, you are a psychopath. It's Christmas time, I had cheese, I had, lots of desserts, Christmas desserts, and I did a lot of baking, and don't judge me, I did drink alcohol. I didn't know I was pregnant, because obviously if I had known, I wouldn't have touched a drop of it. I don't really drink alcohol almost ever. It's super rare for me to do it. Obviously now I'm pregnant, I'm not having it, but I did have during Christmas time. But it happened, it's in the past, I can't change it. So there's this typical dish that Portuguese people eat during Christmas time, which I made, and it's one of the few times I do eat fish. It's a meal made with codfish. I made that meal, and I remember not enjoying it, the smell, and I remember feeling actually a bit like weirdly sick eating it. But I was like, oh, maybe it's because I'm not used to eating, fish anymore because I've changed my diet. Now, maybe it's that, whatever. I still ate a tiny bit, but I made like vegan roast beef with Brussels sprouts and potatoes. It was delicious. I had a lot of cheese, which is my favorite food, and that's when I was like, oh my god, what's going on? Because I had normal cheese and camembert. Camembert makes me feel things. But I remember eating the cheese. It tasted nice, obviously, because it's cheese, but like straight afterwards, I was feeling really, really nauseous. And I was finding it extremely weird. I did think maybe it's because I've been eating a lot more vegan or vegetarian things, and when I have cheese at home, usually I have vegan cheese, so it's not as bad for me. I still can go with craving on my favorite food, but in a healthier version. And all of these things, I was like, oh my god, what the heck is going on? Why am I feeling so sick? But whatever, Christmas was over, New Year came. Can't remember what we did for New Year. I think I just made a nice cozy meal and we went to bed, because we are adults now and there's the pandemic, and we got to a point like, we can't really stay awake for that long. I get really, really sleepy. No, you are getting old. When that happens, it's a struggle to keep yourself awake until midnight. We did our best to do that, just to check some fireworks, from our windows, but then afterwards, we were gone. We're like, let's go to bed, like I'm done. Like, I am so tired, I wanna sleep. And I remember right before we found out that I was pregnant, I think the week before, something like that, suddenly I had this horrendous craving, to a point that I never craved something so badly in my entire life. I suddenly craved a hot dog with bacon, but not a vegan version. No, I was craving the real meat. What's wrong with you? You made this change years ago. You haven't touched anything with meat. Almost you are making a transition that your lifestyle is plant-based and most of your meals are vegan or vegetarian. And I was thinking, like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I craving this so badly? I've had some cravings, yes, like, oh, I want a burger and this and that, you know, a normal craving, like a normal person suddenly wants, like, I really want chips today, you know, it's normal. But I always found vegan or vegetarian versions to deal with those kinds of cravings. But this one, I can't explain you, it was awful, to the point that I remember shivering and not even focusing on doing anything until I would have it. And not gonna lie, I did have a hot dog with bacon. I got to a point, I was like, you know what? I haven't touched in anything in 2 years. Like, let me see how my body feels. Judge me if you want to, but I did it. And I remember feeling quite guilty with it in my hand. And then I gave a bite, and I remember thinking like, it doesn't taste how I thought it would taste. It has been so long. But I was like, well, I already spent the money. I hate wasting money on food. So I was like, well, I've already spent the money. I've already given a bite. Might as well, you know, just eat it. Gave the second bite. Still okay. Gave the third bite. That's when shit started to happen. I started to feel my insides were turning. I can't explain how horrible I started to feel, but me being, you know, a cheap idiot, I was like, I paid for this. I don't want to waste it. An animal died for this hot dog, so might as well do it, because then it would be completely wasteful and I would feel even more guilty than I was feeling at the moment. I ended up eating the whole thing. I cannot tell you how violently nauseous and sick I was afterwards, to the point that I got home, I was lying down on the floor. There was no position I could be that I wouldn't make me feel better. I was moaning, I started sweating. My reaction was awful. I thought I'm having a really bad reaction because maybe I don't eat it, I haven't eaten meat for years. But it was like too much, you know, like too intense of a reaction. And that's when I started to think, okay, am I extremely sick? And that's when I decided, you know, when I was explaining, you know, my fiance and my cousin, like, look, I just had this, and they were both like, what? Okay, something is wrong with you for you to actually want to do that, and then you're getting this extremely sick. I had this specific really intense craving. So even now, I'm not gonna lie, I still have cravings. Sometimes if I smell chicken, I crave chicken, but because I had that encounter at the beginning of the year, I said to myself, I do not care how much I crave something with meat, I will find a vegan alternative to it, because I will not let myself get that violently sick, like, ever. Even after the pregnancy, I said to myself, I never want to see myself again in that situation. I felt awful. And actually it didn't taste at all what I thought it would taste in my head. I thought it would taste in a different way because it has been so long, so I kind of think I just made the thought that it would be even better tasting than, you know, than ever. But I actually was like eating, I was like, oh, okay, well, in a way I don't regret doing it, because now I know how I would react having it. It made me wanting even more not to eat meat. Whew. It was a struggle because I was extremely tired. It got to a point that I just had no strength whatsoever to go and do any sort of workout. I was just way too tired, exhausted all the time. So I didn't put that much pressure on me, like, oh, you need to move, because I was generally tired. All I wanted to do was sleeping. And I also had a little issue with, you know, the bladder, because it's normal for pregnant women to get, you know, bladder infections, any sort of infection, you know, down there. I even did a urine test. I did quite a lot of things to see if everything was okay, but my bladder was hurting quite a lot. So there were a few days where I looked severely pregnant, but that was because I was ingesting like stupid amounts of water to try to clean whatever I had in my bladder, which it did work. But when I said that I was drinking stupid amount of water, let me explain. So every 5 minutes I would chug this entire thing. This is like 700 and something milliliters, and I was chugging every 5 minutes one thing of this. So every 5 minutes I was chugging this, and every 5 minutes I was also peeing this. But even though it was quite uncomfortable, that actually cleared my bladder and it was good. What I've always heard during the first trimester is that your body's getting used to it, so that's why you feel more tired. You don't really know what makes you nauseous or not. So I actually found out that the smell of fish and seafood no, I can't tolerate it at all. Funny enough, certain cheeses, and that's the thing, like cheese is my favorite food, but there are certain smells of cheese. It makes me feel slightly nauseous too. I tried to order like a completely vegan pizza because I would usually get a vegetarian one because of the cheese, but then I actually stopped for the vegan one. It felt so much better for me. So I've actually realized that the more vegan I eat during my pregnancy, the better I feel and the less nausea I have. It was fantastic actually, like to find out, like the first trimester was quite a lot of me finding out what is okay for me to eat, what makes me feel a bit, what can increase my nausea. That was interesting to find out as well. Also, when I found out that I was pregnant, obviously, even though it was quite late, I had to have emergency appointment with my rheumatologist. I had to have, the emergency scan to make sure, that I was actually pregnant. And my doctors were actually like, you need to stop immediately your medication for the arthritis because it's actually quite dangerous for babies. And it's when you are taking the medication, you are advised not to even try to have kids. And well, I got pregnant. Sorry, doc. I got a tiny bit told off. It wasn't planned, so I didn't. Sorry, but I just want to make sure that everything is okay from now on. So I stopped immediately taking the medication. They went through what vitamins, I had to take. Basically, they were saying the only thing you have to increase is the folic acid, which I was already taking it for the arthritis. Now they had to increase it a bit because of the pregnancy. The doctor were checking my type of diet and everything, and they said, well, you don't have to change practically anything because you eat mostly vegan. Sometimes you have eggs or cheese, but like as long as you don't have this type of cheese, and if you cook eggs, they need to be, completely cooked, you're good to go. And I was even telling them I don't think I can actually eat fish at the moment because, it makes me feel completely nauseous. I had to practically not change anything in terms of dieting because I was already eating well. The only thing they said to be careful if you are having, salads and things like that, make sure you clean them properly before you eat them, which you should be doing that anyway. So that was actually really good. So I'm taking my Herbalife multivitamins, which the doctor checked everything and they were absolutely fine. I take my Rose Guard from Herbalife as well, which helps me. It has like turmeric and some vitamins and rosemary and things like that, which helps a lot with arthritis. That's why I take it. It's good for your immune system and to help with anti-inflammatory things. So that's why I take it. I take omega-3 from algae, vegan omega-3 from seaweed. Also, I take the folic acid. The multivitamins has everything else I need. So I take that every single day. They just said like make sure that you eat well. Don't listen to the eat for two. And it's true, like don't listen to it because it's like if you are hungry, yes, you should be eating. If you're not hungry or if you feel nauseous, like honestly, if I'm nauseous, I can't eat at all. I've actually learned with time that to help with my nausea, I don't know if that's normal with other pregnant women, but with me it worked. Eating something sweet like a piece of fruit, squash, I know it's not healthy. But something sugary, even if it's like natural or artificial sugar, it did calm down my nausea many times. So sometimes if right now I don't have it like as severely as many times as I did before, but when I do have it, I usually have like a piece of fruit or I have like a bit like a glass of squash and like with water to help me calm down the nausea. I can smell everything, like it's gross. And actually towards end of first trimester and beginning of second, I actually started to have more cravings. Thank God I don't have any like weird cravings, some people want to chew on cardboard or things like that, or like I heard the girl who wanted pickles with peanut butter, something like that. It's like, I never had like weird cravings, or at least in my head they weren't weird. But I had situations where I had like specific cravings from nowhere. I wanted something very specific, but I've always tried to do it. A few of the things I tried to do it, a bit healthier for me. Others I was like, what, I really want the actual thing, I don't care. So it's like I don't go insane on the cravings. And I also, yes, there has been a few times where I wake up in the middle of the night and suddenly I want to eat something, but that was one thing I didn't want to do that to my partner. I know a few women are going to be like, what, it's about you, your partner has to deal with it. Like, I'm sorry, but my partner works really hard, wakes up really early and is extremely tired, so I don't want to bother him unless it's daylight and I do need to bother him. I have never like, what, honey, wake up, go get me coconut water, I don't know, like something like that. I've never done that, but there's been a few couple times I'm like, I'm really craving lasagna today, and he'll be like, oh, okay. So for example, there was like a week I really want a lasagna, but I didn't want a vegetable lasagna. I didn't want, those pre-made lasagnas. Like I want a proper one. I wanted a similar one that I used to have in Portugal when when I used to eat meat. So I ended up buying myself the ingredients and doing myself a vegan, gluten-free lasagna, which was divine, by the way. Like, pat on me, first time doing lasagna. Actually, no, second time doing lasagna. It was fantastic. So it's like sometimes I have specific cravings. I might not eat it straight away, but I end up, you know, letting myself having them. I really wanted Chinese crepes, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't trust the Chinese food here, because Chinese food in Portugal is so nice, like so nice. And until now, I haven't found one place that it can match that level. So I'm not trying to hate on it. It's just I haven't found the place where I was like, yeah, this is the place I'm going to order Chinese food from now on. I still haven't found it, but I was really craving Chinese crepes, so I ended up going to the Oriental Market in Kingston and I bought the ingredients and made it myself, and oh, my pregnant ass was happy. So I've had like that. There was a time I really wanted a specific salad. There was a time I wanted quesadillas. I wanted nachos. There was a time I wanted that. There was one day I had a friend coming over and I actually, like, suddenly she was talking to me and I just said, I really want chips. She was like, okay, no, I really want chips. So instead of, like, you know, frying them, because we don't do that. Like, the only time I fried something was, I think it's Christmas time. Literally, that's the only time I'm like, you know what? Christmas is Christmas. The rest of the time it's like I use air fryer if I want to fry something. Air fryer, I put in the oven instead of frying, and it kind of tastes the same thing, and it's like way healthier for you. So I remember, like, I ended up, like, while she was here visiting me, I was like, you know what? Like, I need to go and make some chips. So I made my own chips in the oven. I got like this big potato into chips. Then I, you know, seasoned them and everything, and I made them, and I was like so happy eating them. I think I had more cravings during my first trimester than now, but I still have them, but it's not, you know, something crazy, or it's not constant. Lately I've been always like wanting to eat a lot of potatoes. I've always liked potatoes, so I don't find that, you know, that extremely weird, but I always want potatoes. I like potatoes. At least I'm not craving something weird. I'm craving potatoes. So my first trimester has been a bit like that, and the first trimester is basically your body getting used to it, for you to find out what you actually enjoy eating during your pregnancy, what you don't enjoy eating in your pregnancy, what makes you feel like absolutely sick just by staring at it, which is you learning about your body and what, like, your limits are and aren't. You are growing a baby inside you, so that's normal for you to feel tired, feeling like weird feelings and sometimes pain, which is normal. This was my experience with my first trimester. If you are expecting a baby or you already had a baby, share your experience of your first trimester. But mine was interesting because most of it I didn't even know I was pregnant, so I was still kind of trying to do my normal life, but it got to a point I was like, you know, I barely wanted to eat or do anything because I just felt sick all the time, because all of these smells that I suddenly started to smell even better than before. Oh, can you smell this? Can you smell this? Like, oh, it's making me gag. It's awful. My first trimester, in a summary, was basically me getting used to it and learning how to deal with it, even though I only had kind of like 2 weeks to literally find out that I was pregnant and dealing with it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something or gained some information about it, I guess. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just don't forget to like this video, turn on the notification bell so you can be notified when I post videos. Subscribe to the channel because that would be very nice. And if you like this video, share it with your friends and make sure you stay tuned for my next one. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget, be happy and have a magical life. Bye guys, see you next time.